Rain was coming down so hard it blurred the streetlights into long, yellow streaks, and I remember thinking how quiet everything felt inside the car, even though my heart was slamming like it wanted out. You know what I mean? I saw him in the side mirror before he even reached my window. Lieutenant Grant Hawthorne, walking slow, confident, that easy stride of a man who's never doubted how a moment like this would end. He leaned down, rain dripping off the brim of his hat, gave me that smile that isn't friendly at all, more like satisfied, and said, "Evening. You know why I pulled you over?" And before I could even answer, before I could say no, sir, I saw his partner drifting toward my trunk, already moving like this was routine, like the ending had been written before I ever touched the brakes. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a traffic stop, this was a setup. He asked me to step out, patted me down, slow, made sure the cold soaked in, made sure the people on the sidewalk noticed phones already coming up, and when he asked if I had anything illegal in the car and I said no, he chuckled like I'd just told a joke. Then the trunk popped open, and there it was, a clear bag of white powder held up like proof of something he'd decided about me the second he saw my face. He turned toward the crowd, voice loud and confident. "Well, well, look what we found," and then leaned in close so only I could hear him whispering, "No one's gonna believe you. Not against me." And I swear, for half a second it almost hurt more because I'd heard that line my whole life, just dressed up different every time. He started to cuff me already, enjoying it when I said calm as I could manage. "Before you do that, I need my ID." He rolled his eyes, waved toward my purse, and when I pulled out a federal badge instead of a wallet, the look on his face was priceless. Like someone had yanked the ground out from under him. I said his name out loud, said I was FB. I said the words, federal warrant, and right. Then the street filled with unmarked SUVs and agents stepping out like the world had shifted all at once. That smirk vanished, and for the first time, he didn't look powerful. He looked scared. Now that moment didn't come out of nowhere. It took years, and it started in a much quieter place. A cramped bathroom at the district attorney's office, me staring at my reflection and adjusting my blazer, telling myself to breathe. On paper, my life looked good. Assistant DA, steady career, respect in rooms my parents never imagined I'd sit in. But underneath that was something heavier, something I carried every day whether I talked about it or not. My brother Malik got pulled over years earlier, routine stop. They said drugs found in his car. They said, and he swore they weren't his. Swore it, until his voice cracked, until he sounded like someone I didn't recognize anymore. The system didn't care. The jury didn't care. And some people who should have known better, decided it was easier to believe the badge than the boy they'd known his whole life. Malik died in custody 3 years into his sentence. Accident, that was the word in the report. Just one word, clean and cold, and it broke something in me that never really healed. So when a federal agent sat across from me later, quiet meeting, no drama, just files and patterns and numbers that all pointed to the same thing, I didn't hesitate. East Briar City, one precinct, mostly black men arrested, same story, every time drugs appearing at just the right moment, convictions stacking up like trophies. They needed someone who could walk into that world without raising alarms, someone who already belonged there. That was me. I didn't have to pretend to be a prosecutor. I was one. The only difference was, now I was listening for things people assumed I wouldn't hear, watching for things they thought I'd overlook. Hawthorne was everywhere. Praised by the mayor, loved by the department, held up as proof the system worked. Crime is down, they said. Streets are safer, they said. But I sat in community meetings and listened to people tell the same story over and over. Sons, nephews, grandkids pulled over, searched, humiliated, locked up. At one meeting, an older woman stood up, hands shaking, and said her grandson got 15 years because an officer found drugs in his trunk. Hawthorne smiled at her like he was trained for that exact moment and said, "We go where the crime is." And there it was, that line again, neat and clean and empty. Afterward, I introduced myself, all polite, all professional. Told him I was impressed by how thorough his cases were. His ego ate it up. He handed me his card like he was doing me a favor, said maybe he'd educate me sometime on how real convictions get made. The deeper I got, the more obvious it became that they weren't even trying to hide it. I got a text one night from an unknown number telling me to stop digging. I noticed a car following me home. My apartment felt wrong. Little things shifted just enough to tell me someone had been there. I found a bug in my kitchen light fixture and left it right where it was started, talking loud on purpose, describing my routine like I wanted an audience. And behind all that, I built my own. cameras in my car, recorders, and things no one would ever suspect. I became predictable on the surface and dangerous underneath. Hawthorne invited me on a ride along with his special unit, and that night still sits heavy with me. 7 stops in a couple hours, all young black men, all for suspicious behavior. Consent to search wasn't consent at all, not when there's a gun and a threat hanging in the air. On one stop, I saw his partner slip a bag into a kid's hoodie pocket when he thought nobody was watching. Hawthorne turned to me. Afterward, proud, said, "That's how you build a case." I nodded, kept my face neutral, but inside I felt sick. Later that same night, his partner pulled me over for a fake taillight issue and searched my car out of pure frustration when he found nothing. He leaned in and told me he was watching me. I smiled and told him to have a good night because sometimes that's the safest thing you can do. Then came the loyalty test. Hawthorne slid a file across his desk, said the name Jamal Pierce, a community organizer, the kind of guy who filmed police stops and helped people file complaints. He's dealing, Hawthorne said, like it was obvious. I knew it was a lie. He wanted me to prosecute the case personally. This wasn't about justice, it was about silencing someone who made them uncomfortable. When I met my handler afterward, I told him straight up if I refused, I'd be exposed, and if I agreed, I'd be complicit. We chose the narrowest path, the one where I played along just enough to keep my cover, while quietly sabotaging the case from inside, documenting every lie, every shortcut. Around that time, a young man named Darren Knox got arrested again after beating charges once beaten in custody, and days later found dead in his cell. Suicide, they said. I stared at the alert on my phone and felt that old anger rise up again, the same one I felt reading my brother's report. My handler kept saying we needed it airtight, and I understood that I really did, but I couldn't stop thinking about how many people paid the price while we waited for perfect evidence. That's when I decided to push it. I casually mentioned to Hawthorne that I'd been reviewing internal complaints, that some of them could get messy if they ever leaked. I watched his eyes light up for just a second before he covered it. "I'll handle it," he said. For a week straight, I parked at the same coffee shop, same spot, same time, left my car for exactly 12 minutes, made sure a folder labeled Internal Review, Confidential sat in plain view on the back seat. The car was wired with motion cameras, and federal agents were posted nearby pretending to be regular people going about their mornings. The trap was simple and clean, and I knew if Hawthorne felt threatened enough, he wouldn't trust anyone else to fix it. He'd do it himself.